Have you ever wondered what our world would be like if we weren't the only humans on the planet? Imagine a world where another intelligent, human-like species walked among us. This isn't science fiction. For thousands of years, Homo sapiens shared the Earth with our closest extinct relatives, the Neanderthals. But around 40,000 years ago, they vanished. What if they hadn't? What if Neanderthals never went extinct? Let's rewind the clock. Neanderthals were not the brutish, ape-like cavemen we often see in cartoons. They were incredibly well adapted to the cold climates of Ice Age Europe and Asia. They were shorter and stockier than us, with powerful builds, broad noses, and prominent brow ridges. But the most important thing to remember is their brain size was, on average, even larger than ours. They weren't just surviving. They were thriving. They were skilled hunters, crafted complex stone tools, used fire, buried their dead with care, and likely had some form of language. They were, in every sense, a successful human species. So what would have happened if they had survived alongside us? First, let's think about the initial interactions. For tens of thousands of years, Homo sapiens and Neanderthals did meet. We know this for a fact because most people of non-African descent today carry between 1 and 4% Neanderthal DNA in their genomes. This means our ancestors didn't just meet Neanderthals. They interbred with them. So, in a world where they never disappeared, this interbreeding would have likely continued. We might see a much greater spectrum of human diversity, with populations having a much higher percentage of Neanderthal ancestry. Physical traits like a more robust build, a different facial structure, or adaptations to cold could be far more common in certain regions. The very definition of human would be broader and more complex. But would it have been peaceful? History, unfortunately, suggests that when different human groups meet, conflict often follows. Homo sapiens, with our slightly more complex social structures and perhaps more efficient long-distance trade networks, might have had a competitive edge. We might have pushed Neanderthals into less desirable territories, similar to how modern humans have historically displaced indigenous populations. There could have been centuries, even millennia, of conflict, competition for resources like game animals and prime settlement locations. Wars might have been fought not just over land or religion, but over the very definition of humanity. It's a sobering thought. Who would be considered the true humans? Would one group try to enslave or eradicate the other? Let's imagine a more optimistic scenario, though. What if, instead of constant conflict, we found a way to coexist, to cooperate? This is where things get really fascinating. Neanderthal minds were different from ours. Their brains were shaped differently, suggesting they might have thought differently, solved problems differently. Perhaps they were less inclined towards large-scale, abstract organization, but had superior spatial memory or a different kind of creativity. What could we have achieved together? Imagine Neanderthal strength and resilience combined with Homo sapiens' penchant for innovation and large-scale social networking. Our combined technological progress could have been astounding. Think about the Industrial Revolution. Would it have happened sooner? Or would it have taken a completely different path? Neanderthals were masters of their immediate environment. Their knowledge of local ecosystems, plants and animals would have been unparalleled. Perhaps this would have led to a more sustainable, nature-integrated form of technological development rather than the resource-exploiting path we've taken. We might have cities that are more interwoven with the natural world, a deeper, more instinctual understanding of ecology because it was never lost. Our medical science could also be vastly different. We'd have two distinct human physiologies to study. This would revolutionize our understanding of genetics, disease, and medicine. Cures for certain conditions might have been found thousands of years earlier simply by comparing our two species. And what about society and culture? This is perhaps the most mind-bending aspect. How would our philosophies and religions have developed? Most creation myths center around one type of human. What happens when there are two? Would Neanderthals have their own religions, their own gods? Would we have syncretic faiths that worship both Homo sapiens and Neanderthal deities? The concept of human rights would have faced its ultimate test from day one. Would the Universal Declaration of Human Rights be the Universal Declaration of Sentient Rights, including Neanderthals? The legal and ethical debates would be endless and profound. Would they have citizenship? The right to vote? The very fabric of our societies would be woven from this dualistic reality. Art, music, language, all of it would be different. Would we be able to understand Neanderthal languages? Their vocal tracts were different, so their speech would have sounded unlike anything we know. Their art might have focused on different themes, using different symbols. Imagine a world with two Da Vincis, two Shakespeares, two Beethovens, each coming from a unique cognitive and cultural perspective, enriching the world in ways we can't even fathom. The cross-pollination of ideas would be exponential. Our global culture wouldn't be a human culture. It would be a tapestry of sapiens and Neanderthal traditions. Let's fast forward to the modern day in this alternate timeline. You walk down the street in a major city. You see people of all ancestries, but the diversity is far greater than what we know. You see individuals with the classic robust features of Neanderthals walking side by side with gracile Homo sapiens. They work together in offices, play on the same sports teams, and build families together. Of course, prejudice would likely still exist. There might be speciesism, with social movements fighting for Neanderthal equality or celebrating their unique heritage. News reports might cover political tensions between sapiens majority nations and Neanderthal majority regions. But ultimately, the presence of another intelligent human species would force us to confront the biggest questions of all. What does it mean to be human? Is it our DNA, our intelligence, our capacity for empathy? Having a living, breathing other to compare ourselves to would provide a constant mirror. It might have made us more humble, more aware of our own place in the grand scheme of things. We might have learned out of necessity to be more tolerant, more accepting of difference. The challenges would be immense, but the potential for a richer, deeper, and more profound human experience is undeniable. The extinction of the Neanderthals left Homo sapiens as the last humans standing. It was a pivotal moment that set us on the path to the world we know today. But by imagining a world where they survived, we don't just explore a fascinating what if, we learn more about ourselves, our own history, and the choices that made us who we are. The ghost of our closest cousin still lingers in our DNA, a permanent reminder that for a brief, magical time in our deep past, we were not alone. Thanks for watching. What do you think would be the biggest difference in a world with Neanderthals? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this journey into an alternate past, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more explorations of history's greatest what ifs.